This Week in History.
3, 2, 1, 0, and liftoff.
Discovery, go at throttle up.
All right, Johnny, so this week I've got some World War II related stuff because in our normal, historic hindsight episode, we were just talking about Nazis on meth.
Yeah,
so,
might as well double down with the World War II era, right? Let's go.
Really,
what do we got?
What it boils down to is I just did not want to change any of this up in between recordings.
This is a costume issue, is what you're saying.
Yeah, basically. So, the Battle of the Bulge starts on December 16th, 1944, and was a massive German counteroffensive through the Ardennes in late World War II.
Okay, well, to be fair to you, before you're like, this is just a, throw-off episode because I was lazy, Battle of the Bulge was kind of a big deal, if I remember it. And I know that.
You do remember it.
Because I've heard of it. Now,
yeah, there you go.
The details of Battle of the Bulge?
Well, we'll probably do an episode on it on its own at a later date. That's why it's spoiler alert, if you didn't watch all the way through the last This Week in History, we are phasing This Week in History out in favor of Civil War in hindsight. We are going to be doing some other specialty episodes and stuff in the future you're going to have plenty of content.
Yeah.
For the 104 subscribers that we have. Hey! We made it to 100.
Yeah, but for real, we'll be dropping a lot of new stuff. We're gonna do some gun stuff. He's going to.
Yes,
I don't know anything about him.
As you can see from,
but we'll still be dropping stuff. Civil War in hindsight is going to be weekly. Historic hindsight will continue weekly, so we're good.
We'll continue weekly, yeah, and we'll have some other stuff spaced throughout there. So yes, you'll be plenty of, and we don't get paid for this. We've not made it to the monetization part.
No, we're long
if we ever will.
Share with your friends. Let them know.
Yeah, share with your friends. Let them know because I am legitimately putting in. I have a full-time job, and I'm legitimately putting in at least probably another 20 hours a week on this stuff.
And I'm putting in however many hours of record each week because I'm doing no research.
It happens. It's fine. So, Battle of Bulge, you're right, Johnny. It is one of the two things that we're taught about in war. Like, there were three things we were talking about in World War II. This is what we're talking about in World War II.
Okay, this is World War II. I thought so.
This is World War. Yeah, this is World War II and American education. Pearl Harbor, D-Day, Battle of the Bulge. Yeah. Atomic bombs. Yeah. Like, that's it. Four things. That's all
and then we win.
Yeah, and then we
win. After the bombs.
Yeah, but
it's basically God creating the world. It's a 7-day process. We went through those on the 2 bombs, and then on the 7th day we rested.
Forget the fact that the Germans invaded Poland in like 1939, and the war started like 2 years before the Americans ever entered. Who cares? It only matters once we entered.
No, I'm pretty sure. We came in and then won it, so how are you going to be mad about that?
Right? Yeah, how are you going to be mad? Anyways, so this is also known as the Ardennes counteroffensive if you're on the German side. And the German goal here was pretty simple. It was just to split the Allied lines and to prevent them from using the Belgian port of Antwerp. And once the lines were split, their hopes were to encircle as many Americans as they could, or Allies as they could. I say Americans because it was pretty much just the American forces mostly on this section. There were some British forces, but very, very limited. And to basically make as many armies surrender as possible with the hope that would then cause the Allies to sue for peace for Germany to stop and end on the Western Front.
Okay, so
because things really weren't going well for them on the Eastern Front. This was
right.
By all accounts, a last-ditch effort.
So, by Germany to create some legitimacy on the Western Front, or to conquer, win it?
They weren't going to win it. They knew they weren't going to win it. They just hoped they would cause enough damage that it would allow the Americans to, like, all right, we'll stop fighting if you redraw the lines at Germany.
Okay.
Instead of,
all right. So, basically, to make themselves enough of a presence that the Allies are like, well, fighting them further would lead to more unnecessary death than we're willing to accept. Okay.
Exactly. But in order for this plan to be successful, the German forces needed a very quick victory and needed to be able to surround the Allied forces and force a surrender as quickly as possible. We're talking like it needs to happen within 2 or 3 days of the initial assault.
Which is nuts.
Otherwise,
in that
this
time,
isn't going to
especially,
work.
But right, because a surrender had to be telegraphed. right?
Well,
Tell-
we got radio. We got radios.
Radioed ish.
Yeah, we got radios. Yeah.
All right.
Well, it's more of like they need to surround the army and force the army that's surrounded to surrender in a couple of days. And the problem
right.
with this is the Germans have very limited supplies at this point because, Eastern Front's not going great. Western Front isn't going great either. We don't have a lot of fuel to go around. We don't have a lot of the bullets to go around. So they really weren't in a position to do an
Oh, it
offensive
turns out Germany is quite a small country.
It doesn't have a lot of natural resources in Germany.
Especially
weird.
Oil and things you might need to make gas and oil for your vehicles.
Because if you're not familiar with World War II, by this time, they lost Africa, so their oil is gone.
Which also, if you're not familiar with World War II, Germany was at war with Africa at some point.
Yeah, they were.
Africa was involved in the World War.
Yeah, we do need to talk about that because that does get overlooked a lot.
A ton. I learned it from you just now.
Well, yeah. Anyways, so the battle is going to kick off at 5:30 in the morning on December 16th due to Allied overconfidence and lack of aerial recon because lots of fog.
Oh, yeah.
At this time. The Allied lines were overrun pretty quickly. Oh, shit! They actually have men and they're fighting! What is this? Run away! The Allies were able to halt the advance, not pretty quickly, but quickly enough. They were able to bring up reinforcements. At the time of the initial assault, the Germans had around 400,000 men, and the Americans had around 200,000, but they would rush reinforcements in, including the 101st Airborne. So if you're at home and you're to get your Guy card, you kind of have to watch Band of Brothers, the miniseries. And if you watched Band of Brothers, there's a whole episode on the Battle of the Bulge.
I'm sorry. Real quick, 200,000 and 400,000?
Yeah, they were outnumbered 2-1 at the start of
No,
this.
no, okay, yeah, I get the 2-1. 200,000.
Oh yeah, wait till you hear how many actually
and
wind up being involved.
400,000.
Wait till you hear
those numbers are nuts. Those numbers are insane. That's bigger than most cities in America.
Yeah, just wait. So fun fact, these reinforcements, in the proper American fashion, were not given ammunition in the quantities that they were needed. And this, you see this lovely winter campaign jacket I have on?
Nice.
Yeah, they didn't have them. They weren't giving them yet.
And you're complaining about being cold in that.
I am complaining about being. It is right now as we're recording this. I think it's like 28 degrees outside, give or take.
Ish.
And I am wearing this in my garage, which obviously means that it's not going to get really below freezing in the garage.
And, I'm in my garage, Tommy. I don't know what you're looking for. I'm in a casual sweater, a short sleeve shirt, and a t-shirt under that.
Well, your garage must be better insulated than mine.
No, I mean I'm sitting on a heated blanket, but what are you gonna do about that?
So it is a little bit cold. I'm comfortable enough, although my nose is a little bit runny. Not because of COVID, because I'm cold.
Important distinction.
The Germans underestimate the Allies' willingness to resist, and even though they completely surrounded the Allies at the city of Bastogne, the Allies refused to surrender. When the German forces, this is like, I got to do my stereotypical historian dumb thing that's said a million times. When a German commander asked the Allied commander to surrender, the Allied commander's response was nuts. That was it. Just one word. Nuts. Which, by the way, like, I know we kind of laugh about how funny that is, but it's not funny. What does that mean? Nuts?
Come back again, because you're saying this like everybody knows that this is a thing.
Yeah, it's a thing.
What?
He just says, the Allied commander says, nuts.
This was a thing that the Americans were doing?
The Germans said, you are surrounded.
It was that?
Surrender.
It was moose ears and...
Yeah, and his response was, nuts. But, like, to me, when I hear that, I'm like, nuts, I'm surrounded. Well, fuck it, I guess I surrendered.
Right,
so,
yeah,
like,
nuts, that's too bad.
What was in the German soldier's head? Like, is he surrendering or not?
I'm sorry, would he like some nuts? I don't have any. This was not our conversation.
I like to plug random YouTube channels that I watch. I imagine that Flula, I don't know if he's actually German or if he's just some American with a fake German accent. There's this guy who's got a channel called, he's Flula, and he just has all these American idioms like it's colder than a witch's titty, and he's like, don't understand. Why is the Vigilante cold? Is she not wearing a jacket? Why is she?
Well,
why is the
I've
Vigilante
also
not cold?
never heard
And
that.
so,
But yeah, no,
yes.
that's. I mean, yeah, obviously that's insane. Like, what are they doing
But-
here with that?
we didn't surrender, and by December 24th, weather improved enough to allow the American planes, to start flying, where we bombed the shit out of the German positions.
And we're like,
And,
oh, hey, no more fog.
Armored reinforcements from the 2nd American Armored Division was able to stop any kind of German advance, and Patton's 3rd Army would break the siege on the 25th of December, and by the 15th of January, the whole battle was over, and the Germans lost.
Aw, shucks.
All shucks. The casualty report I have here for you is that the total by the end of the battle, the Americans had engaged just under 1 million soldiers, around 800,000.
Shit.
And the Germans stuck around that 400,000 number was their primary number.
That's just what they had available. That was it.
That's what they had available. So the Americans lost 89,500 wounded, killed, missing, and captured. They lost 733 tanks and tank destroyers. So they get lumped into the same category because a tank destroyer is essentially a tank that doesn't have a mobile turret. Like it's a mobile artillery piece.
Why would they?
In
Okay. So
order to aim the gun,
it's
you
a
have to
cannon
aim
on
the tank.
wheels. Yeah.
It's a cannon on wheels.
All right.
And in order to aim the cannon, you have to move the whole. It's
Yeah,
not
the
a
whole shebang moves. It's not a whoosh, spinny bit.
spinny bit. Yep, no spinny bit. And they lost over 1,000 aircraft. The Germans would lose 98,000 men, including wounded, killed, missing, captured, 544 tanks and tank destroyers, and 800 aircraft lost. So
Nearly
the
200,000 people. Casualties.
yeah.
175, 180, whatever.
yeah, casualties in this. Not all of them are dead, but yes, wounded.
No,
missing,
but
all that.
right, yeah.
So the Germans came out ahead on the whole casualty front for the most part, but they didn't have reinforcements.
Obviously, yeah.
They
it
didn't
was-
have backups. The Americans did, so and the Allies did. So there's that.
Yeah, so
that's the battle.
it became, we lost like 78 people. It's like, okay, well, we lost like 100, but also we replaced all of them with 200.
Yeah. So good luck. Yeah, you destroyed 733 tanks, but yeah, we have like.
Yeah, got more.
More.
Sorry,
we
man.
got we
They
got
keep
1,500
coming.
more. I don't know what to
These
tell you.
Americans, we got Rosie the Riveter over here. She's going nuts. It's insane.
is.
You've never seen anybody work like her. And she's just making tanks for everybody. So, buckle up.
Buckle up, Germany. So the last thing I got for us is not a World War II related thing. It is the 13th Amendment to these great United States Constitution.
All right.
Is finally in effect
Wait.
on December.
I want to give everybody in the audience a chance to guess what the 13th Amendment is. So everybody think about it for a second. What do you think it is?
It's the end of slavery, Johnny.
Oh,
There you go.
shit. How about that?
So on December 18th, 1865.
Abraham Lincoln coming through.
Yeah, but he dead.
What? No,
Yeah,
he
he's dead.
freed the slaves.
Yeah, but he's dead.
No, I learned in history books he freed
I know,
the slaves.
but he's dead. Pause. So, the amendment is announced in effect by Secretary of State William Seward, who announces it to the world that the United States, we finally did it. We've gotten on board with the rest of you.
and the entire
Slavery's
world's
bad.
like, that's
Yeah, we
about
did that,
20
like, 50
years
years ago.
too late, bud. But you guys have still been using slaves all these years? Are you kidding me? For what? Your cotton? Jesus.
So yes, exactly, for the cotton, Johnny. So the amendment itself was passed way back on January 31st, 1865, when Lincoln was still alive, and was ratified by 2/3 of the states on December 6th, 1865. But why the delay from December 6th to December 18th, Johnny?
Yeah.
Well, that's because so Abraham Lincoln freed the slaves with the Emancipation Proclamation.
Great.
That is what our school system teaches us.
Yeah, and when
Go to
was that? That
school.
was
1862,
okay.
after the Battle of Antietam.
Yeah, and
Now,
slaves are free now.
Yeah, but not really, because what we failed to teach you in school, and if you would actually just go through and read the Emancipation Proclamation, it says that all slaves in rebelling states are free. rebelling states are free. Now, what we also don't teach everybody at home in America is that not all the slave states seceded from the Union. There were, in fact, 4. You had Kentucky, Missouri, Maryland, and Delaware that were all slave states that stayed slave states. West Virginia would actually form in 1863 by breaking off from Virginia. So West Virginia, the state, becomes a state because the people in West Virginia were like, yeah, we didn't like this whole seceding thing, so we're gonna secede. We're gonna secede from the Confederacy and rejoin the Union. So technically speaking, they were also a slave state. And so,
all right,
technically speaking,
so the Emancipation Proclamation, if for real, it's just about states that have already
were in active rebellion against the Union.
Stupid because so it's super stupid because it's against states that have already said, nah, we're out of this Union. Peace. See ya. Let's get out of here. And then they're gonna be like, well, the Emancipation Proclamation, all those slaves in your states are free. And everyone's like, yeah, Abraham freed the slaves. And he's like, well, only in the states that I have no control over.
Yes.
That's what it was?
Johnny. That's what it was.
Oh
legitimately, that's what it was. It was a paper sham. But, he would get he would get the 13th Amendment passed in Congress.
So what did the 13th Amendment actually do?
So the 13th Amendment it frees all the slaves, makes slavery 100% illegal in the United States unless, it's for punishment of a crime. So
prisons.
Yeah, we can still have slaves in prison.
Well, I mean, they're not slaves. They make 13 cents an hour, Tom. I mean, we pay them. I mean, come on.
But we don't have to, according to the Constitution.
How nice is our government then in our prisons? We are just giving them free money for things that we could have made them do for no money. And who are we putting in these jails? Certainly not a disproportionate amount of coloreds and black people.
Brown people. Brown people go to jail a little bit more than white people.
A little bit more? And that's This Week in History.